Hello, welcome to my corner of the internet where we get to sit together and just chat, talk about anything that I want to talk about, which, if you are a friend of mine in real life, is usually how our conversations go anyway. So today we will be talking about my current favorite thing to discuss, which is, of course, as none of you know, because none of you know who I am, The Last Kingdom. This has been, for like the last year and a half, probably the most important piece of media in my life. Shout out to my friends Emily and Ashby, who on one sunny day in Bonnie, Scotland, decided it would be a great idea to tell me to watch this show. And I did. I listened to them. I heard the call and I answered it. I listened to it. I think I got no sleep for several nights because I was just watching The Last Kingdom. And then now I'm reading the books. There are, for any of you who don't know about The Last Kingdom, there are 13 books in a series. There is a TV show, 5 seasons, and a movie. The movie, I think, probably was supposed to be a 6th season, but it was just a movie. The books are written by Bernard Cornwell, who is an English author. He began writing in the early 1980s after moving to the United States with his wife. And as a historian, he started writing a lot of historical fiction. There is a lot of his work out there. I do not doubt you've probably run across his books somewhere in the library or a bookstore or your mom's bookshelf somewhere. After I started reading the books, I got home, was looking through some of my bookshelves just to see what I had going on. There was a Bernard Cornwell book sitting right there. Who would have thunk? He writes a lot of books that span many, many centuries of history, including when these books take place, which is the late 1900s. No, that was incorrect. The late 900s. We're talking early medieval history, pre-England, obviously post-Rome, pre-England, when there's the Saxons and the Danes, and you have the I think they're called Frankians. They're from Francia. The Frisians, Viking era. If you've ever seen the TV show Vikings or Valhalla, these take place in similar time period, not the same exact time period, but similar time period. I've never seen Vikings or Valhalla, but I have heard from other fans of The Last Kingdom that these TV shows are very similar. So if you're a fan of that, you might be a fan of this. And both the books and the TV show follow the same character, whose name is Uhtred. Uhtred, son of Uhtred, of course. Uhtred is a Saxon lord. Well, at the very beginning, he's not a lord, he's just a boy, but he is a Saxon, and he is from this city, what is it called? Fortress? Place? Called Bebbanburg. It's modern-day Bamborough in northern England on the east coast. It's near this place called Berwick-upon-Tweed. Very beautiful place. I'll include some pictures. Maybe this is a good place for pictures to go. I'll include pictures of my time when I went to Bamborough. Because yes, I went there, okay? Jeez. Anyway, so Uhtred, son of Uhtred, is the son of the Lord of Bebbanburg. And he is the second son, so he is just kind of futzing around doing stuff when the Danes come and they attack. And his older brother, whose name is also Uhtred, originally his name was Uhtred, he is attacked and killed. And so our Uhtred, the main character, he was born as Osbert, and his name is changed to Uhtred upon the death of his brother. And so the first book is essentially just his upbringing, where after his older brother dies and then his father dies, Uhtred is taken as a Saxon slave to a Dane warlord named Ragnar. Now, if you are a fan of Vikings and Valhalla, this is not Ragnar Lothbrok. This is a different Ragnar. There's a lot of them, actually. Would you believe it or not? There's so many characters. I'll try my best to, like, keep them in line. Anyway, he goes and he lives with Ragnar as a slave for many, many years. But he does his work. He is, I don't want to say polite, which for what we get with Uhtred later is not how he ends up. Anyway, he's well loved by Ragnar, and eventually Ragnar adopts him as his own son. So he becomes, rather than Uhtred, son of Uhtred, he becomes Uhtred Ragnar's son. And Ragnar has several children. I don't remember the name of one of the boys who is Uhtred's close friend in the books. But he has two main children, and that's Ragnar the Younger and Tura. God bless Tura. We love her. And so I'm going to be jumping around a lot in this video because I'm just trying to set like a scene for those of you maybe who haven't seen it or want a refresher or haven't read it, want a little bit of a refresher. But I guess this is just an introduction video to me, but then also to the series and my love for it. I intend on talking about many different aspects of what I love about it, what I love about the books, what I love about the TV show, the differences between them, and I guess that is where we will mainly start, is in the differences. And the differences start pretty early, because Uhtred's life, it really, his young years in the book takes up almost the entirety of the first book, is his life with Ragnar, and his life as Ragnar's son, adopted son. In the TV show, it's one episode. It's actually like maybe 3/4 of an episode. By the end of the first episode, we move on from the actor who plays young Uhtred. Side note, this character, or this actor, goes on to become Kragon Stark in HBO's House of the Dragon. Let me look up. I have my computer open right here so I can look things up as we go along. Kragon Stark. Yes, there he is. Who plays them? Tom Taylor. Shout out to Tom Taylor. He plays young Uhtred in the very first episode of The Last Kingdom. When am I like? Okay, so the first episode was released October 10th, 2015. And then what does anyone know what episode he is in House of the Dragon? It's season 2, right? Season 2. Okay, so 2024. So that's almost 10 years later. And let me just show you what he looked like in 2015 and now 2024. Hello. Okay. Quite a difference. Anyway, there's actually, I was going to say there's a significant amount of crossover between House of the Dragon and Last Kingdom. There's only 3 actors in it, in both. One of them being Tom Taylor. And we'll discuss the others later. Another similarity, no, I can't talk about that now. It's too early to talk about Sihtric. Okay. But related to Kragon Stark, so I guess I can talk about it. There is a character in this series. His name is Sihtric. He plays a significantly more significant role in the TV show than he does in the books, which is devastating. I do love him in both, though, so don't get it twisted. His name is Sihtric, and he is a Dane. Actually, he's both a Dane and a Saxon. A lot of people fan cast him as Kragon Stark. So if you're ever on Pinterest scrolling through and you see something that looks like this, and it says Kragon Stark underneath, instead of Sihtric Hjartarson, don't get it confused. It's just fan cast. A really great fan cast, but also love Tom Taylor. Tom Taylor does an amazing job as Kragon Stark, so we're not complaining. Anyone want to remind me what I was talking about before I started talking about Tom Taylor? Yes, the beginning of the story. So, like I said, the first book is mainly the life of Uhtred Ragnarsson. And there's a lot that happens to him. He goes through a lot. You know, his brother is killed. His father is killed. He is kidnapped by the Danes. He is forced to live with them. he becomes a part of their family, and he meets a character who is, once again, significantly more important in the TV show than in the books, and her name is Brita. Brita is also a slave. In Ragnar's house, she was taken by the Saxons at some point, and they live and work there together. This is also Uhtred's first woman, okay? She's very important because of many things, but when we start discussing women in this series, in both the TV show and the books, and how they're portrayed differently, and then she will become a very integral part of that. I'd like to reiterate that I'm only on book 7 of the Last Kingdom series, so there's stuff obviously that hasn't happened yet that could happen, but so far Brita plays a very, very minimal role in the books. She's incredibly integral to his childhood, and she crops up here and there throughout the rest of the series as Ragnar the Younger's woman later. I think that's what his moniker is. It's just easier to remember Ragnar the Younger as Ragnar the Younger, and then there's regular Ragnar, who is Uhtred's adopted father, and then Ragnar the Younger is Uhtred's older adopted brother. Oh, jeez. Hopefully I'm not confusing everyone. Anyway, Brita is a very important part of Uhtred's story. She is honestly so great. She has a tongue on her. She does not care what people think about her. She is born a Saxon, but she is a Dane, like through and through. Book and TV show, she is a Dane. She loves being a Dane. She is what they call, I think, okay, I don't know. They have a name for her, like a title, but I don't know if this is the right title. She does magic. She can do magic. She communicates with the gods. And yes, we'll meet another character who is kind of her foil, I would say, later. They're very similar, but I love Brita and I hate this other woman, because she sucks. There's that. Okay, so these are kind of in the first book, in the very beginning of the series. These are our very important players. What am I talking about? I've missed 2 of the most important ones. So Uhtred. I've missed everything. This is going to be a choppy video. Sorry, everyone. Uhtred. And then his uncle, Aelfric, I think is his name, he takes Bebbanburg from Uhtred after Uhtred's brother and father die. So he no longer has Bebbanburg, and he's now a slave to the Danes, Ragnar. And his uncle, Aelfric, has the castle. That is a very important part, because Uhtred will spend the entire rest of the series, both book and TV show, trying to get that castle back from his uncle. But for now, we can forget Aelfric entirely. He doesn't matter for, like, at least until season 2. Book 3 or 4. Okay. Another incredibly important character is Father Beocca. Father Beocca is a priest for Uhtred's father, Uhtred, in Bebbanburg. And Beocca is kind of his conscience. He teaches him everything about the Christian God, all about, like, their morals, what they should believe, what they say the Bible says. Me and Father Beocca have a few disagreements about what the Bible says, but we can discuss that later. Yes, a huge, huge theme in these books is religion and faith, and the conflict between the Danes and the Saxons, relying a lot on a conflict between faith and religion. There is a lot of conversation about that, and I think that could be a whole video in and of itself, which I definitely intend on making, because I think it's very important to the characters and to the story, to the history of everything. So Father Beocca is incredibly important. Once Uhtred's father, Uhtred, has died, and the Danes have taken our Uhtred, and Aelfric has taken Bebbanburg, Father Beocca leaves Northumbria, which is where Bebbanburg is. It's in modern-day northern England, which then was Northumbria. Maybe I'll have a map here, and somewhere up here will be Northumbria, I'm sure. Father Beocca flees south towards Wessex, where there is a king named Ethelred. Perhaps. What's his name? Pause. King of Wessex. I need to know. Oh, I was so wrong about the dates. This takes place in, like, smack dab in the middle of, I don't know, right at the end of the 9th century, not 900s. Forgive me. Okay, I'm going to do it right later. Okay, yes, okay. So, Father Beocca flees to Wessex to go serve Ethelred, the first king of Wessex. Not the first king of Wessex, but Ethelred the first, who is the king of Wessex. I said that weirdly. And in doing so, he meets Alfred, who is Ethelred's brother. And if you know anything about early medieval history / English history and pre-English history, probably even like Viking history, Danish history, you will know Alfred because he is Alfred the Great. Kind of a side note here, a lot of what goes on in these books is based in history. It's based in fact. Like I said, Bernard Cornwell is a historian. He includes at the end of every book a historical note where he talks about the things that he changed, the things that he included. Uhtred himself is a real historical person, but who probably existed either before or after all of these events took place. So his presence is fictional, but there are a lot of things that occur that are real, and a lot of the people who are mentioned are real. And yes. So Father Beocca comes to find Alfred the Great and becomes his conscience, essentially. And this is where we meet our final most important person that we're introduced to in the first book, which is Alfred himself. Alfred is such an interesting character. If you've seen the TV show or read the books, you've probably both loved and hated Alfred at some point. He is stern, he is taciturn, he is like no nonsense, very devout, very pious. But we also get the sense that he was a little bit of a rebel in his younger years before he really fell into his piety, because he has a son, a bastard son, and thank goodness he did, because that's my favorite character right there. Yes. We'll talk about him later. Trust, we will talk about him. Anyway, Alfred is a perfect foil for Uhtred. Absolutely, some of the best scenes in both TV show and book are the scenes between Alfred and Uhtred. It's very convoluted, it's very complicated. We love and we hate them both at many different times. And for all of Uhtred's impulsiveness and his brashness and his inability to hold his tongue, Alfred is the exact opposite. So you do get a very interesting relationship between the two of them for 3 seasons and 6 books. Another thing I should probably say, that these videos are going to be full of spoilers. Spoilers galore. I'm going to tell you everything that happens. I'll try to be pretty specific in each video, what I'm spoiling. So if you're not finished with the books, or you're not finished with the TV show or the movie, I'll just put that in there and do my best to not spoil things for you. But if you don't care, yes, good, because I'm gonna spoil them. So now we have pretty much the most important. I did have more characters I have to tell you about. Villains. Let's talk about some bad guys. The main bad guy for the first couple of books that is introduced in this one is Kjartan. Kjartan was a shipmaster for Ragnar, Uhtred's adopted father, and he had a son named Sven. And Sven sucks. Okay? Just trust me on that. Sven is the worst. He at one point tried to assault Tura, who is Ragnar's daughter, and Uhtred prevented that attack from happening. One thing about Uhtred, you have to know this, he's a horrible person, but he respects women. And, like, respect, honestly. He didn't have a mom, so I don't know who fed him the respect women juice, but he drank it. He guzzled that stuff right up. For all the things he does, all the horrible choices he makes, and all the times he acts really horribly, one thing he will do is respect a woman. So when he sees practically his sister being attacked by this kid Sven, he attacks him back. And when Ragnar finds out about this, he goes to Kjartan and demands penance for the attack on his daughter, even though Uhtred had cut Sven pretty heavily in the leg. Kjartan thought that was enough of a punishment, but Ragnar did not. So Ragnar demanded one of Sven's eyes. So he cuts out one of Sven's eyes and then banishes Kjartan. And this is incredibly integral because it's Kjartan who comes to take revenge and ends up killing all of, Ragnar and Ragnar's wife and Ragnar's father. I don't remember his name. Sorry. He taught Uhtred a lot about, like, poetry and myth and about the old gods. And then this death of all these people, and Tura is kidnapped. That's also very important. Tura is kidnapped, but Uhtred thinks that she is dead. Recap. Uhtred, son of Uhtred, is living with the Danes, Ragnar's son, Ragnar, and Tura, and then a Saxon slave named Brida, before they are all killed by Kjartan and his evil son, Sven. Father Beocca is living in Wessex with Alfred under the reign of King Ethelred I. And by the end of the first book, I can't remember if Uhtred is already there, but at the end of the first book, Uhtred and Brida are fleeing from where Ragnar lived in Northumbria to Wessex. They make a pit stop in Mercia, but then they eventually end up in Alfred's home. And that's the beginning of the story. And I hadn't really intended to tell you the entire, I guess it wasn't the entire, but I hadn't really intended to tell you all of that, but I have. Now on to some other housekeeping things, I would say. These books and this TV show are about a very violent period of time. Not that human history has ever been without violence, but it is in a very tumultuous time, in a very tumultuous place. So the books and the TV show have a incredible amount of violence in them. Like the battles they fight in the book are pages and pages worth of just death and carnage, and Bernard Cornwell does not shy away from showing that. He writes, like, very explicitly, I would say, men dying, men weeping, the excreting of bodily fluids once they've died or in their fear. He writes about the horror of a shield wall and sieging a castle, and while Uhtred finds glory in that, and what does he call it? He calls it like the blood song or something. He often talks about his trusty dusty sword, what's it called? Serpent's breath, I think. I don't know why I've forgotten what it's called. Serpent's breath. He often personifies it and talks about her thirst for blood. So very violent. And the TV show similarly does not shy away from how gruesome war is and how devastating. In addition to seeing that, they do talk a lot about the effects on women. As we know, men weren't kind to women in this time period, which is why it's kind of amazing that Uhtred is written in such a way where, like, he will defend a woman. He does act in a way that is very contrary to how a lot of men treated women in this time period. The difference between the TV show and the book is non-descriptive in these regards. It will talk about the kidnapping and assault of women very vaguely. There is one instance that I can think of in, I think, the second book, where there is, like, a woman on the page being assaulted. But she really quickly gets to kill the guy. So it kind of wins some, lose some. The TV show, however, takes a different approach, and there are several scenes of assault depicted against women. They are uncomfortable. They're meant to be uncomfortable. There's at least 3 scenes that I can think of in seasons 2 and 4. So those are just some basic warnings. The books are also just nondescript about sex in general. So Uhtred is sleeping around with a lot of women, okay? But a Bernard Cornwell, very fade to black kind of guy, which I appreciate. He does a great job, just in my opinion, just being like, and then they slept together. It's kind of a little bit, obviously not exactly like that, but that's a paraphrase. Once again, the TV show is not like that. Uhtred sleeps with a lot of women, and you get to watch. If that, floats your goat, you can also skip through it like I do. I'm trying to think. There's also a lot of conversation surrounding sex workers in the time period, and obviously they don't call them sex workers. There is a lot of engagement with sex workers. One of the main characters, his wife, used to be a sex worker. They make fun of him for that a lot, so, there's that. I'm trying to think if there's any other, warnings other than graphic violence and then some sexual content in the TV show. But I don't... This is a warning. They say hump a lot. I know that, other words for that word didn't exist at that time, but it grates on my nerves. I don't know why. It's a horrible word. It really bothers me a lot. They say it all the time. So that's a warning for those of you out there who might hate that word as much as I do. Okay, yeah. And now let's get to some fun stuff. Some general things, I guess, about me and my experience reading these books. I want to talk about my favorite characters in both the TV show and the book because they are slightly different. And I want to talk about my favorite season and my favorite book so far. And then I don't know, we'll start there. My favorite characters from the book. People who know me won't be surprised. Favorite character number 1 is Osferth. I mentioned him earlier, just not by name. He is the bastard son of King Alfred. His character in the TV show is incredibly different from the book. If you've watched the TV show and you were like, ooh, that guy? First of all, rude, because I love him in the TV show as well. Second of all, he's so different in the book. I don't even know how to, we could get into, maybe I'll get into this video, maybe in the next one, we could get into how different he is. But he is a very intriguing character to read. He's so different from the rest of Uhtred's party. And yeah, he's just a great character. I am so glad that he's included. Another favorite character from the book is Steapa. Fans of the TV show might not recognize that name very well because they absolutely nerfed him in the TV show, which I'm bummed about because he's phenomenal in the books. In the TV show, he is the captain of the guard for Alfred and then later on Edward in season 4. You see him often leading the charge behind the king or kind of being a pest to specifically Finan, because apparently they don't get along very well. But in the books, he is described as like big and stupid. And unfortunately, it's true. He's big and he's stupid, but he also has the biggest heart in the world. I love Steapa. If you've seen the TV show, you know the episode where Uhtred and Leofric are fighting after the trial, and they have to fight to the death. It's season 1. It's probably episode 6 or 7, after Uhtred is found guilty of raiding in Wales and East Anglia, perhaps where he's raiding, mostly Wales. He and Leofric have to fight. In the book, it's Steapa who fights him. And so that whole sequence of they're fighting, and then the Danes come and ransack Winchester. That's what's Steapa. So it's Steapa, Leofric, and sorry, there's some designs on this little placemat that I'm looking at that I thought were hieroglyphs. Steapa, Leofric, Uhtred, a prostitute that they saved from a tavern. The 4 of them are the ones who go to find Alfred in the marshlands. And this woman, forgive me, I can't remember her name. It's been a long time since I read the second book. Probably close to a year. No, that's not true. Anyway, it doesn't matter when I read the book. But I don't remember her name. She is understandably very wary of being around men at this point. And Steapa is just like her friend. They're just like best friends. And I love that. And there's one point when he goes back to his home. Oh, this is actually devastating and I might cry about it. He goes back to his hometown after the Danes have taken over Wessex and it's been burned and everyone is dead. And he takes the time to bury the body. Alright, I'm back. I had to change. It's like an hour, maybe an hour and a half later than when you last saw me. I had to go to the store and I had to change. This is my Gatorade. Not sponsored. Just thirsty. Anyway, where were we? We were talking about Steapa. He buries the dog. It's probably one of the best scenes in the book, actually. From that moment on, I've loved him. Thank God he survived the Death of Kings. Everyone was dropping like flies in that book. So I'm glad he survived it. Speaking of Death of Kings, my favorite book so far. I think it has all of the tension and the action and like the emotion, the emotional weight. Phenomenal book. I was still talking about my favorite characters though. In the books, Osferth, Steapa, Pyrlig. I love Pyrlig. He's an icon, both book and TV show. But there's a lot of characters in the TV show who are awful in the books, like worse in the books than some of the bad guys they have in the TV show. I think Heston is really interesting. I wouldn't say he's a favorite character of mine, but he's really cool. Like, not cool as in he's a good guy, but like he's a really good antagonist. I really like him. And in the books, he's present all the way from the beginning. He might even be in the first book. Definitely in the second book, but he works with Uhtred for a while. Uhtred and Leofric. Obviously, I love Leofric in the books. He's great. Now TV show. Favorite characters TV show-wise. Obviously, Osferth. Even though he's completely different, I still love him. Ewan Mitchell does like a phenomenal job with him. Like he's given nothing and he does everything with it. That could be probably a whole video in and of itself, is the differences between book and TV show. Osferth, Steapa, Hild. Maybe I'll do that. Hild is another one who's my absolute favorite in the TV show. She is amazing. The changes they made to her really only improved her. There's nothing wrong with her in the books. She's great in the books. But they did improve her in the TV show. I really think that taking out the romance between her and Uhtred, because in the books they are intimate, I think taking that out did a really great thing for her and her character and their relationship, even though their relationship in the book is still really great. There are some things I wish they had kept from the book in terms of their relationship, like the stone on the end of Serpent's Breath is not in the book, but what is a cross that Hild gives him. And the fact, I don't know, that change specifically really irks me because of his relationship with Christianity. It's obviously not good, but he has that because of his relationship with her and with like other Christians such as Pure Leg and Beocca and Tura, eventually Osferth, his sons Finan, Willibald, I think is his name, Cuthbert as well, his stupid priest Cuthbert. Love the guy, he's so weird. Where was I going? What was I talking about? Hild. Obviously Ethelfled in both the TV show and the book, she's amazing. She's complicated, she's not straight and narrow boss slay queen, but she's also not straight and narrow submissive meek woman. She really finds that line that feels really realistic for the time period. A character like Stiora or Brita, at least how they're portrayed in the TV show, feels a little bit more fantastical simply because, I don't know, it's just, my earring's stuck. Help. Thank you. Thank you for whoever helped me out there. But the way that she conforms, but then also is discongruent. That's not the right word, is it? She doesn't fit in. She does in some ways, and then in other ways she doesn't. And I really like that. Obviously, I love Finan, Cedric, and Uhtred. I love them, obviously. I'm just trying to think of, characters that I really, really resonated with and really cared about. Ethelstan. I love Ethelstan. Season 4, Ethelstan, you have my heart, now and forever. Season 5, Ethelstan, you have my heart, now and forever. Movie Ethelstan, thin ice, but I still love him. Yeah, Harry Gilby did a great job as Ethelstan with the complexities of his character, especially in the movie, how you can go from hating him to loving him and back all over again. So I have to look up who played baby Ethelstan. And by baby, he's he's 8. Oh, speaking of Ethelstan, how could we forget Edith? Let's see, who plays baby Ethelstan? Television series. Casper Griffiths. Hey, Casper Griffiths, if you're out there, you did a phenomenal job as Ethelstan in season 4. Him during the siege, I could have wept literal, actual tears over him. Oh my gosh. I love him. I love him a lot. I think he's great. I moved on to someone else and I've forgotten who it was. So I went from Ethelstan to Edith. I love Edith. Now, Edith has just been introduced in the books, so I'm not sure where it's going with her character, if they changed her plot for the TV show. So far she's seeming in the books like power hungry, trying to steal the king, in league with her brother, trying to kill Ethelfled, which from the TV show's perspective, if you don't know her like side of the story, would seem like that. So I don't know if they're gonna keep doing that or if it will be like the TV show where she is just trying to survive. Honestly, I love her character. I love her character arc in the TV show. Devastated to pieces that she's not in Seven Kings Must Die. Me and my relationship with Seven Kings Must Die is very tumultuous. We will talk about it. Especially, okay, actually, maybe I won't keep this in, we'll talk about it here, but the whole thing with Seven Kings Must Die, and in the movie, it being Finnan's wife who has the dream and has the prophecy. 7 kings must die and the woman you love, or whatever. In the book, in book 5, which is called something, I've forgotten, it's a fake seer, an old woman who has roped her granddaughter into drugging and lying to and abusing a bunch of men, including Uhtred, under the guise of being a seer. And in collaboration with a couple of priests and like the Danish lord, I think it's either Sigurd or Canute. I don't remember. Anyway, 7 kings must die and the woman that you love. I don't know, I guess if it'll come up again for it to be relevant in the later books, and that's why they used it in the TV show or in the movie, but that feels really weird to me so far, right now. As I'm sitting in it, that feels weird to me. Also, Finnan not having his wife in the TV show when he and her got married immediately after the slave ship thing in season 2 or book 3, 4, one of those two. Confusing because Finnan and his little Scottish wife, they mean the world to me, even though I don't even think she has a name in the books. I don't think she has a name in the TV show either. That's unfortunate. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I don't remember where I was. I was telling you my favorite characters from the TV show, and I've told you that it's Osferth, Hild, Ethelstan, Edith. Aelswith's character development, like, what I love about her is she ends the show as, like, a almost passably likable character, and I love that for her. And that just makes me enjoy her so much. I love her, the way her arc, it's so funny because it's so slow and she goes back and forth so much in my mind of whether I like her or not. Let's talk about people I hate. My least favorite character, the character I think is the most deplorable, and I hate him more than anyone or anything, at least in the TV show, is Ethelhelm, Edward's father-in-law, Edwin's father. And I can't tell anyone why without giving major spoilers for season 5, so I'll save it for another video. But I hate him. He's public enemy number 1, and I actually think the way that they ended his arc was deplorable. I had a lot of issues with the season finale of season 5, and that what they did with him, I think, is actually a disservice to his character, Finnan's character, and Osferth's character, and Ethelstan's character, actually. All of them. Another character I obviously hate is Kiartan, but these are like low-hanging fruit. I hate Skade. I hated her in the TV show. She was passable in the books sometimes. Hated her though. In the TV show, I just wanted her dead the entire season, and as well in the book. I think she's the only one that I'm like I actually actively despise. I wasn't a huge fan of season 5's Tiora. She really bothered me. Oh, Edward. He is on my hit list. I despise him. Season 4 and onward. Season 3, he's okay. Season 4, I want him dead. And then season 5, I actually hate him. I actually despise him. So, Edward. Obviously, Ethelred. No one likes him, even though he's played by Toby Regbo. I saw Toby Regbo on my screen and I said, oh my gosh, it's Toby Regbo. I think I was actually watching it with my friend and I was like, Toby Regbo, he was Francis in Rain. I love that guy. And then he's immediately the worst guy ever. And I was like, oof. Okay. Alright, so you've heard the characters I like and the characters I don't like. I told you, spoiler alert, that I loved Death of Kings, which is book 6. That one was I just loved that book. Favorite season is, I would say, the second half of season 4 is really compelling. The power vacuum in Mercia, the little crew just traipsing around with all the children. Yeah, I really loved that in season 4. Season 5, episode 1 is one of the best episodes of anything ever, and I don't watch past season 5, episode 1 in my rewatches because everything is sad after that. So in case you're watching this TV show for the first time, if anything I've said has convinced you to watch it, sorry about season 5. It's not my fault. I didn't make the show, so don't blame me. These are my preliminary thoughts. I definitely have more. I definitely would like to tell you more. But I think for now, as a first video, this, I guess, has more been a get to know me than get to know the series. I think next video I'll have like a script to follow because I think I jumped all over the place. So my deepest apologies. And I ask for your forgiveness for the editing. I've never edited a video before. So if I could just have a little grace as I learn. Some other topics that I would like to discuss other than The Last Kingdom at some point. I'm currently reading, what's it called? The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. Forgive me if I've mispronounced that. It's a high fantasy, post-apocalyptic, Viking-coded, Dane-coded novel series. I think it's a series. I'm about 25% of the way through. It's really good. The voice acting, I'm listening to the audiobook. The voice acting is phenomenal. There are 3 main characters, 2 women and a man. I love all of them. I think they're all really compelling. Really fabulous world building, not too exposition dumpy, but just enough information to kind of know where you are. So I would love to talk about that as I read it. I would also love to talk about the Witcher books. And if any of you know anything about me, which is unlikely, I hate the Witcher books. Controversial. I actually hate them. I despise them. I think the only one on Goodreads that I gave more than a 3-star review is the first of the short stories. Everything after that was deplorable. So if you'd like to know why and how much I hate the Witcher books, I will probably talk about that. I'd love to do like a comparison between specifically the women. It's my huge problem with the Witcher books is how the women are written. The women in that versus The Last Kingdom versus The Lord of the Rings. Huge Tolkien fan, so I'll probably talk about them at some point. Them being the women in Tolkien and the Tolkien books. I've read Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, seen them a billion thousand times, and I am currently working my way through the Silmarillion, and then eventually some of the other short stories that he's written. There's always things for me to say about things. Books I'm reading, movies I've seen, pop culture in general. So just let me know what you guys want to know about. And if you have any book recommendations for me, drop them down below. Please let me know how you're doing. I hope everyone's well. And like, comment, and subscribe, as they say. I have to whisper it because it feels really cringy to say out loud. Yeah, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!